Okay. We'll be inviting bibliophiles and Abasis to tell us more, to do a book review on Things Fall Apart, tell us more about it. And then with the audience members, we'll share our thoughts on the book too, right? So please, I encourage all of us to be very cooperative and let's share our thoughts together. Thank you very much. A round of applause as we welcome.
Thank you. All right, so I think I have read Things Fall Apart. Maybe this is my third time, and I watched the entire series when it was on NTA.
No one.
For those who thinking of, amen. Anyway, so but I'm telling you, this time I read Things Fall Apart with fresh eyes, and I have to say that my favorite character changed from Okonkwo to his father, Funoka. Now, his father was an amazing person. He liked soft life in a time when life could not be soft. He liked to play flutes, go out, borrow money from people and not pay. The most amazing part is in chapter 1 when somebody comes to ask him for message that he was owing. This man laughed the other man to scorn, and the man was shocked. Like, why are you laughing? What's funny about asking for my money? And he said, look up at that mud wall. And the man did. He said, you see all those strokes there? Each stroke stands for 100 calories. And that one there is up to 10 strokes. So you're looking at 1,000 calories. That when the sun comes down on people, it gets to the person who is standing up first before it gets to the person who is bent. So, he will start from the highest depth to pay before he gets to the lowest depth. So, basically, he lived and died a broke man, not just a broke man, one who was in debt to a lot of people. Okonkwo grew up hating who his father represented. He did not like the fact that the father was begging from people or was indebted to people. He wanted to make a name for himself. So he was literally staring away from everything that the father was. Can I go over chapter by chapter to tell you what happened in Okonkwo's life? Okonkwo had situations where he beat his wife to stupor because he felt that that was how to show his manhood and his manliness. Okonkwo had situations where he wouldn't listen even when it was necessary to stop for a minute and listen because he felt that a man didn't have to beg, a man didn't have to show weakness. You know, the African man in those days, because I think that most African men have changed. Okonkwo was not one to accept change very easily. He didn't like change at all. He wanted tradition to be upheld. He was one of those people that we call the custodians of tradition, like Mr. Dike at the back there, who would say a woman should not say certain things. So Okonkwo was that kind of person who would want to keep tradition the way it was. The Bible is replete with incredible proverbs. Oh, sorry. Did I say Bible? Oh my God. Things Fall Apart is replete. Pastor! Call yourself pastor for a very long time. Oh, okay. So Things Fall Apart is replete with a lot of proverbs. I like one that I heard. It says that Proverbs are the palm oil that you use to eat wounds. Yeah. That stayed with me throughout that book because it just made it, I was applying it to my life. Yeah, you know, there are some people that talk to you and all you are having is Proverbs. So Chinua Achebe did a fantastic job in mixing the African lifestyle, marriages, the wrestling match that happens amongst villages, the war between villages that brought about the introduction of Ike Nufuna into Okonkwo's life. So it was that their neighboring village actually had a situation with Okonkwo's village and sent these two children, because they were children. When you send a child, those are not people of war. Yeah. So I believe that they were trying to introduce peace. One was a boy and the other was a girl. So when they came into the village, Okonkwo's village seized them. Because when you have people who are elders like Okonkwo, who were people of war rather than people of peace, the idea was to keep them and see what it is that the oracle will say concerning these people before they took any decision on them. So they kept Ikemefuna in Okonkwo's house. Ikemefuna became a part of Okonkwo's household. He has stayed so long that Okonkwo even had a soft spot for Ikemefuna. You know, he liked the king, but he was this kind of person that if they said we should do this, I will do it first before another person has a chance to do it. So when it was that they said Ikemefuna had to be sacrificed, this sacrifice was not that they took Ikemefuna to an oracle and kept him there and the gods still. They needed somebody to actually chop off his head. And Okonkwo gladly did it. He didn't even pay, I would believe, because I know from reading the text that he loved the Ikemefuna. But because he wanted to show his strength, he didn't want to exhibit any kind of weakness that his father exhibited. He went ahead to do what hurt him, I think, in the long run. Now, in the course of Okonkwo's life, he also mistakenly shot a clansman. And when he shot the clansman, sadly, because it was how do they call it, manslaughter? It was an unintentional, they sent him on exile for 7 years to his mother's place. Mbano. So he was sent off to his mother's place. When he got to his mother's place, by this time, Christianity has started creeping in. They had come to Umuofia, his place. They had also started introducing their leg at Ibadan. At Ibadan, he tried to fight it, but remember, he wasn't from there. He was from his mother's place, and there was not a lot he could do about it. He had the situation where his daughter, what was that his daughter's name that had? Isn't it the one that had Ogbanje? He had this situation where he was running up and down to ensure that his daughter got healed. Agbala, the princess of Agbala that will run until her heels touch her waist. So we had situations like that. So the book throws up a lot of interesting Igbo culture, throws up a lot of things that have to do with our lives as Africans. And then Okonkwo has spent 7 years in his motherland, a very eventful 7 years, and then it was time to come back to Umuofia. He comes back to Umuofia to find out that the white man had changed a lot. They had introduced schools, they had introduced hospitals, they had changed the culture. So the things that they would tell you only elders can take now was open to every man who was a white man or similar to or interested in working with the white man could do. This was not acceptable by Okonkwo. Okonkwo was very upset that this was happening. He goes on to try to fight it in his way. But people had begun to accept what seemed inevitable. How does Pastor Larry put it sometimes when he says that when the white man comes with a gun and then you are shouting in the name of whatever God you are calling and the white man shoots you, you die. You have no choice but to accept what the white man has to offer. So there were missionaries that had come in the church. There are missionaries that had come in and they had tried to get people to convert. Now, remember that Okonkwo had a son, Woye. Woye was the friend of Ikemefuna in that song. He had lost a friend. At the same time, just like Okonkwo saw his father as weak, he began to see his father from a different perspective. For him, his father was too rigid, and that was not the will. So here comes Christians who come to preach to Woye, to tell Woye that Woye would be better. And guess what? When the Christians came, they gave them the evil forest to go and live. These Christians lived in the evil forest and tried Unlike what they expected to happen to them, it didn't happen. So these were testimonies to the fact that Christianity worked. Woye converted. Uncle Okonkwo almost lost his mind and began to dislike his own son because his son chose a path that didn't look like what the father had walked through. When Okonkwo came back to Umuofia and began to deal with the people of Umuofia, on one such occasions, the white people now sent an emissary to them to give them a message. But when Okonkwo saw this emissary, who also was one of their clans people in Umuofia, he shot him dead and the man died. He thought that the people of Umuofia will follow him, will stand for him, will fight for him. But sadly, nobody agreed to go with him. Everybody felt that what he had done was totally wrong. So Okonkwo, who had exhibited so much strength in the past, found that he was all alone in this fight, went and hung himself, and that. Okonkwo had a tragic end, even though he started as a great, because he would not adapt to change. This book teaches us quite a lot of stuff. It teaches us that you cannot be Unoka, his father. You cannot be lazy, you cannot be laid back, you have to work. But it also teaches us that while we have ambition and we are Africans, we should look to change because change is inevitable in our life. If you adapt something in your life, reasonable change, then it is possible that you live a better life. We have to be accepting of certain things that come our way. I hope that we all read Things Fall Apart, and if you haven't read it before, please go back and read it. I think it is one of the best works that Africans have brought into our times. Thank you very much.